Coming up, Google's Gemini is officially powering the next-gen Siri. Apple overhauls all of its Pro apps. Details on OpenAI's first hardware product. And we go hands-on with a folding iPhone model. Hey, welcome to the Cult of Mac podcast. I'm your host, Leander Caney. Joining me today, we have Griffin Jones coming in from freezing cold Ohio. Hey, Griffin.
I'm watching the snow breeze by my office window as we speak, imagining how I'm going to have fun shoveling my driveway after this recording.
That's always fun. Well, Lewis and I are here in sunny San Francisco, which is actually quite nice today and not so freezing cold. Hey, Lewis.
Hey, yeah, it's beautiful podcasting weather.
It is, isn't it? Did you see those reports of earthquakes, though? Did you feel any earthquakes recently?
No, I saw some report about swarm of earthquakes in California where the earth is cracking apart.
The Daily Mail. I saw that headline too. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure that's completely legit.
Right, I know. Yeah.
Maybe we could have one of those earthquake videos. I always love that when that happens to the TV.
When everything's shaking behind. That's very realistic. Oh my God, I thought we were having the big one. Don't do that again. Well, why don't you? Let's talk about something a little more, something equally earth-shaking.
Nice transition, man. Are you a professional? Yes, yes, you are.
I'm finally getting better at this podcasting gig. Finally. Let's talk about Google Gemini, which is, it's official now.
Google Gemini is going to give Siri the brain transplant we've all been waiting for. Hallelujah. Our Siri problems are about to end. Google's Gemini AI will power the long-promised Siri overhaul. Apple and Google made the partnership official this week after months of speculation and rumors. They issued a joint statement. This is kind of, I guess I'll just read this whole thing. Why not? Apple and Google have entered into a multi-year collaboration under which the next generation of Apple Foundation models will be based on Google's Gemini models and cloud technology. These models will help power future Apple intelligence features, including a more personalized Siri coming this year. After careful evaluation, Apple determined that Google's AI technology provides the most capable foundation for Apple Foundation models and is excited about the innovative new experiences it will unlock for Apple users. Apple Intelligence will continue to run on Apple devices and private cloud compute while maintaining Apple's industry-leading privacy standards. Whew. So that's a lot of information, but no real details, of course. But this is what we've been talking about for ages, right? Apple's been trying to fix Siri. They announced over 2.5 years ago that Siri's going to become actually usable and helpful and able to work across apps and things. All these crazy things that kind of got them into hot water because they still aren't here yet. So what do? They were trying to do it on their own. They ended up just punting and saying, "Yeah, but Google, why don't you fix this for us?"
Interestingly, it was around March of last year when they said, we had to delay the new Siri until the coming year. That was the exact phrase they used, the coming year. And everybody was like, what does that mean? Does that mean like the next 365 days? Does that mean the end of 2025? Does that mean the end of 2026? Does that mean the next May of 2026? And they used that phrase again in their statement. They said, partnering with Google Gemini to bring the new Siri in the coming year. So does that reset the count? Are we giving them another 365 days? Does that mean, is that the coming year of last year? They've given themselves more wiggle room, I suppose.
I read it as 2026. And, that's what we've been hearing for ages, right? It's going to be here 2026 in iOS 26.4, I think, which probably arrives in March or April. That's supposedly when at least the first bit of this Gemini-powered Siri is going to come out, the first set of features. In fact, where did this information? I think this came from a story in The Information citing, a source. I think it was actually it said a source that had been associated with. So this could be, John Gianandrea talking. Who knows? Who knows?
Right.
Maybe it's somebody current, maybe not. But that report said that these capabilities are going to be coming in the first wave. One, Siri will be able to answer more factual / world knowledge questions. This is something that Gurman has said they've been working on for a while. So that's answering things in a conversational manner like you're used to with ChatGPT or even, Alexa at this point, as opposed to Siri. Oh, well, I can give you that information on your iPhone if you'd like, or would you like me to send that to ChatGPT? Anyway, so that's
Here's
one
what
thing.
I found on the web.
Yeah, maybe that's the most exciting thing if they can pull that off. This one is completely weird to me. Quote, tell more stories. What the? I mean, that's what I've been waiting for. Siri that can read me a lullaby. What does that even mean? I don't know. I've read it. I read the source story. I don't know what they mean. I don't know why it matters. Whatever. The next one, it's also probably not something I'm going to be leaning on. It will provide emotional support. Although, to be fair, I've heard a lot of people talking about, well, not a lot of people, I've heard some people talking about how, ChatGPT or Claude or any of these things actually can work as sort of a, AI therapist and can provide solid information that can help you, deal with whatever problems you got going on. Considerably cheaper than a therapist. Let's see, 2 more things. Assist with more tasks, such as booking travel. And this is one of the things that Apple talked about all those many months ago, is like doing sort of more complex tasks. Like saying, hey, I want to go to Las Vegas. Why don't you book me a hotel room and a flight and give me, maybe you can also give me some restaurant recommendations. And finally, in this first wave, the new Siri is supposed to be able to create a document in the Notes app with information such as a cooking recipe.
I take those last 2 points to broadly mean that this is when Apple's going to roll out like the app intense stuff where developers can, add a bunch of like actions that can be performed inside their app, and then Siri will be able to like perform on those actions. You like plugging into like Slack so that you can take a picture and say, send this to Leander and Lewis, and then that'll plug into the Slack app intense framework, and then it'll, import your picture, and then Siri will handle all of that stuff of like, sending the message and all that. It's one of the most important parts of what Apple originally announced at WWDC 2024. That's what all of the developers have sort of been bracing themselves for. Like, I've got to really add all of this framework stuff to my apps so that, Siri can be more capable and more powerful and do all the things that we expect it to do. And it's making my phone go off. So I'm going to stop talking.
Well, that sounds very cool. Are you actually going to trust it to book you a trip to Las Vegas? Take care of all of that.
That's very interesting. I mean, how is it going to prepare it? I mean, when I've tried things like, for instance, with using ChatGPT, saying, "Hey, make me a travel itinerary for this trip," right? It hasn't. I've never seen a button that just says, like, press this button and everything will be booked. It's more like, here's what to do, and maybe there's a button that says, would you like me to do this? And I'm sure that they'll build in things like, okay, well, I recommend this hotel because of this, and here's how much it would cost. Would you like me to book that for you? And press this button if you would. I would trust that, sure, especially if, Apple's involved. I think Apple, the one thing that I will say about Apple's, AI failures is I think they're coming from a good place, and that they don't want bad things to happen because of AI. They want you to have a good experience. Unfortunately, for the last while, that has meant you're going to have a bad experience because Siri is not good.
I mean, a while ago, I would have said Apple has the most brand equity to lose, because Apple's, it just works mentality has always been their defining thing. That's why people buy iPhones. That's why people trust Apple products. But interestingly, Apple Intelligence has lowered that bar significantly. So we'll see. We'll see what they do there.
Right. That's the first batch of features that are supposedly coming. The second batch later on is going to be knowledge of past conversations that you've had with the AI and proactive suggestions based on information from apps such as Calendar. So, that I think, I think the app intense stuff where it works cross app and that's going to be amazing. The proactive suggestions, that to me sounds like it might be more just wishful thinking and probably not going to be that helpful.
I mean, to me, that sounds like the information describing what Apple originally announced as like the personal context stuff, like the, canonical example that Apple used. when does my mom's flight land, where it looks up the chat history, looks through the email stuff, then takes that, personal context, and then pieces into another engine that looks up, flight data and gives you that answer. So it looks like that's delayed to iOS 27, and I'm not surprised by that because that sounds like a very complicated feature. And I think that, the reporting had said that, yeah, they could kind of get it to work, but it wasn't that reliable, and it was also really slow. So no surprise there that it needs more time in the oven.
So that's the September timeframe when they're talking about this kind of stuff.
I don't know. I hear proactive suggestions, and I imagine, the Amazon app going, "Hey, we found this deal for you. It based on your past browsing, how would you like to buy these socks?" No, I don't want you to tell me I need to buy socks. And I don't really even need Siri saying, "Hey, your flight leaves for the airport. Would you like me to book you an Uber?" Because, I'm perfectly capable of realizing that my flight leaves soon and I can book an Uber. So, I don't know. The whole proactive suggestions, perhaps it could be good. Who knows?
Also, knowledge of past conversations. One of the big problems is that every conversation you have with Apple's current voice assistant, or really most interactions with Apple Intelligence are all ephemeral. You can open up the writing tools, you can select all the text in your document, you can have it rewrite it, but then you tap away once and all of it's just gone. That's the biggest user interface problem with Apple Intelligence compared to ChatGPT, Gemini, all of these other things. They just keep a permanent record. You can revisit a past conversation. You can pick it up right where it left off. But you click away from the ChatGPT thing built into Siri on your Mac and it's just gone. And it doesn't exist anywhere.
Yeah, it's an interesting point, isn't it? I wonder how long how many conversations it will remember. Will it remember everything you've ever said to it?
What will be the interface for finding your past conversations? Are they going to have a Siri app that you can open and chat to it? Because honestly, that might be better than the kind of annoying thing where you have to double tap on the bottom. I trigger that accidentally all the time, and it's kind of clumsy. And then again, you tap away on the screen and then it's just gone, and you have to start over again.
Well, one of the things I've seen a lot, I'm reading about a lot, is talking about moats. These different companies. What's the difference between OpenAI and Claude and Google Gemini? There's nothing really to stop people switching from one model to another, except when it comes to this kind of personal information. When you train the AI model on your own data, it becomes your own personal AI, and that's a big moat that'll stop people switching to another model because it won't know anything about you. And so this sort of makes me wonder what is Apple doing here? I'm it's Apple did this with Google Maps, right? And countless other examples of where it's been trying to develop its own services. It uses another company's services as a stopgap while it tries to develop its stuff in-house. But if you're training Gemini on your own data, how are they going to swap that out for Apple's own foundation models? How are they going to take that data out of Gemini and stick it into Apple's foundational model?
Gemini, basically Google is building the models, but they'll still be Apple Intelligence features. They'll still be running on private cloud compute. So it'll functionally be as if it basically is. Google's just making the software for them, but Apple is running it themselves, which I think is a really great, transitional period. They're basically getting a third party company that's better at this to do it for them until they can, do it in-house. Maybe they'll just keep Gemini around for 3-5 years. Maybe it'll be a while until these all things catch up. But functionally, I think the moat Apple is trying to build is, we're your phone. We have all of your apps. We can tap into all of them. We have the APIs and we have the personal context. We have all of it ourselves. If you're in the Apple ecosystem a lot and you use Apple Notes and Apple Reminders and Apple Mail and Apple Calendar.
Sure, but what happens in 5 years' time when they want to swap out a new foundational model? When Apple's finally got its...
Apple can do that on the back end. You don't have to think about the foundation model.
The data's stuck in the Gemini model. When they swap it out, I think what will happen is you'll have to retrain it because it'll be starting from scratch. I don't think there's any way to pull that data out of that model.
I see what you're talking about. Yeah, well, we'll see how that works. Apple does behind the scenes machine learning stuff on your phone all the time. Like when you buy a new phone, it takes a few days for your photos library to re-index again. And again, those things also happen kind of invisibly. So it'll be an annoying thing that you have to think about when, you upgrade your software and the model changes, or you buy a new phone and all that stuff needs to train again in the background. But I guess that'll just add to the list of things that slow down your phone when you first set it up.
Yeah, maybe. Well, yeah, but I think it's like, if this new model, if the Gemini can remember all the conversations you've ever had with it, if it can remember all the things about, your relationships, everything, about you, that's a lot of data, especially over 5 years. That's going to have to be retrained. It's not a question of like rerunning the face recognition algorithms on your photo library. I don't know. Maybe there is a way to do it that I don't know of, which is entirely likely.
I'm sure Apple has thought
I'm sure
about
Apple
this.
engineers are a little cleverer than we are.
But yeah, I understand. What they're saying about. It does look at the privacy protections, the private cloud compute. Getting not giving Google access to your data. I mean, all that sounds really good. I like that stuff. I'm very much a fan of that.
And if Siri actually works to boot, wow, winning combination.
Right.
I can't believe it. It's actually like on the near horizon. I mean, it seemed like so long. It's just, because let's just be honest. It wasn't like we just noticed that Siri was garbage when they announced this stuff was coming to fix Siri. It was years and years of like, wow, this is just sad. And it all came, into focus when ChatGPT came around, right? It's like, oh, yeah, it is possible for this to work a lot better than it does.
Well, it's very ambitious, and this is instantly going to be the biggest AI assistant in the world, isn't it, when it comes out? I mean, they're going to have... The stakes are very high. This is potentially...
Oh, yeah.
Although it's going to run on the... what are the estimates? Apple's got what... how many billion devices? Is it 1 or 2 billion now?
I think it was 2 billion devices the last time. I mean, God knows how many of those support Apple Intelligence, but...
Right. It's only a fraction of that, because I think it's just the last couple of years, isn't it? The iPhone 16 and up. So
15
I don't know
Pro,
what...
I think.
Yeah. So I don't know what proportion of that is. So it's actually, I guess, maybe 20%.
Only the hundreds of millions.
Yeah, right. It's still a lot.
Yeah.
Whichever way you look at it.
Yeah. This is kind of, I think it's kind of a make or break thing for Apple. If they make a big deal about, wow, it's finally here, we finally nailed it, and it's not good, man, that's going to be... Because, isn't their stock already like up because of all these tech companies up because of AI, and Apple's stock rose after it announced the Apple Intelligence stuff, right? It was like, oh, great, they're on the AI bandwagon. There's so...
back to WWDC 24, like the news cycle after that wasn't, Apple just announced all of these awesome Apple Intelligence features. Like their stock price rose because they just name dropped ChatGPT once at the end. It's not like they announced some like deep partnership with them or anything. They just, oh yeah. And sometimes when you ask a question, ChatGPT will answer it. And then everybody like took that and ran.
I think people were also, investors were also excited because Apple was actually basically saying we take AI seriously and we are going to do stuff in the AI arena, which is so hot right now. So, and they have Image Playground, just awesome, awesome.
Well, here's a good transition, because I actually think when the next story we're going to talk about. The one thing that impressed me about what they had announced was the actual smart AI features that they have incorporated into their new Apple Creator Studio bundle, which Griffin is going to tell us about. But what struck me about that was that the features that they announced in the new versions of the Pro apps actually sounded really good and really clever use of AI. But anyway, Griffin, why don't you tell us about this new Creator Studio bundle?
The new Apple Creator Studio bundle subscription allows a user to access professional creative apps, Final Cut Pro, Logic Pro, and now Pixelmator Pro on both Mac and iPad, along with Motion Compressor and MageStage, which are sort of, peripheral apps that are, even more niche. But in addition, subscribers get premium AI features inside free Apple apps, Keynote, Pages, and Numbers, and Freeform coming later, eventually. It's interesting that now they sort of consider Freeform among with the other three as like one of their main, I guess, iWork apps, to use a term from 20 years ago.
Yeah, right. I guess so. I haven't used it. Have you used it?
I have, yeah. It's fun. For a few specific things, it's really good at it.
Maybe we should try some projects with that, because every time I am reminded that Freeform exists, I think to myself, one of these days I'm going to wake up and they're going to have quietly killed it. I've never heard of anybody using it. And in fact, if you're listening to this podcast and you have used Freeform, I'd love to hear what you used it for and how well it worked. Because when I opened it, I don't know, I felt like I had an Etch-a-Sketch in front of me, and I just didn't have anything to draw.
Well, what I use it for is sort of like a digital version of like the conspiracy board that some people will make. Like, if you have to link together like a lot of documents, photos, web links on sort of like a whiteboard canvas, honestly, it makes a bad first impression if you like get a giant cork board and like, a bunch of push pins and things. But if you make something in Freeform, then you've got like, you look much more sane, because you can have, it looks nicer, it's beautifully designed. Anyways, so
what kind of conspiracy theories are you mapping out in this thing?
Nothing that I can talk about publicly, but we don't have to get into that. So all 6 major creative apps will remain available as one-time purchases on the Mac, although iPad versions are still subscription only. Final Cut Pro, so getting into the new features here, Final Cut Pro gets transcript search and visual search, so you can quickly find a moment you're looking for in your library of clips. That sounds super handy.
Right.
Beat detection analyzes the music tracks that you have on your timeline so that you can line up your video to the beat of the music. Or what I often have to struggle to do is like when I need to merge 2 different tracks together and like transition and blend them, like you want the beats to line up, and this can make that a lot easier. Montage Maker on the iPad version uses AI to automatically analyze footage and create like video montages based on the best visual moments in your timeline, so that's kind of cool. Logic Pro, I'm not an advanced Logic Pro user, so I'll kind of just breeze through this. Logic Pro gets a new synth player, sort of one of their like AI automatic tracks that you can add if you're making a demo. Chord ID uses AI to analyze your audio or MIDI recordings and convert them into like chord progressions. That apparently saves a lot of time, like doing that by hand. But of course, the big news is that now Pixelmator Pro, which is easily, I think, the best graphics app that you can get on the Mac or like any Apple platform, now it comes to the iPad with a touch-optimized interface designed specifically for the platform. It includes full Apple Pencil support with features like hover, squeeze, and double tap on compatible iPads, full liquid glass refresh. So that's neat.
People are very excited about that.
So if you're not familiar, it has like advanced selection tools, bitmap and vector masks, AI-powered features like super resolution for upscaling photos, and D-band for removing compression artifacts. And I think they're taking like Pixelmator Pro's super resolution technology and putting in other apps like Keynote and Pages. It's a really handy tool. I use it all the time. Moving on to the sort of consumer level apps, Keynote, Pages, and Numbers. A lot of people are confused that, to be clear, these are not moving to paid only subscription. Keynote, Pages, and Numbers will continue to be free apps. And again, all of the pro apps like Logic Pro, Final Cut Pro, they'll also still be available as one-time purchases. But if you use the free versions or the one-time purchase version of the pro apps, then you don't get these like advanced AI features. They'll actually keep existing as separate listings in the Mac App Store, I think, because the Mac App Store doesn't support both one-time purchases and subscriptions on the same listing. So Apple sort of ran themselves into a technical hurdle there. Keynote, Pages, and Numbers, they get a new content hub that provides curated photos, graphics, and illustrations in sort of like a, stock asset library. Advanced image creation tools utilizing generative models from OpenAI. Interesting that they're using OpenAI for this and not Gemini, but that will allow users to create or transform images from text. Keynote subscribers can generate presentation drafts from text outlines or create presenter notes from existing slides automatically. That could be handy. Numbers gains formula generation and magic fill for pattern-based table completion. I think maybe a spreadsheet might be the last place I want to put AI. Oh yeah. I ran our income projections for the next year. They look great.
Although I've seen actually people raving about these kind of features, though, saying that it does actually work quite well. I don't know about the Apple version of it. So I'm a little confused. These are the premium features that you get in Keynote Pages and Numbers if you subscribe.
If you subscribe to their bundle.
So it's basically new templates, new AI image generation capabilities, and this spreadsheet stuff too.
And basically your subscription is basically just paying for the stuff that you'll be using from OpenAI for all of those features.
Yeah, I guess it. Well, we're going to get to the pricing now, but it sounds cheaper than having a separate subscription to OpenAI.
It does. The service launches January 28 at a cost of $12.99 per month or $129 per year. College students and educators pay $2.99 monthly or $30 annually. And I think all you'll need for that is a .edu email address, but we'll see. And as we speak now, the single purchase versions of the apps haven't been updated with the new features yet. But the Apple says it's launching January 28 officially.
The pricing discrepancy between the regular pricing and the EDU pricing is crazy, isn't it? I mean, it's way cheaper.
Yeah, $3 a month. That's like for any of those things. It sounds crazy. You're talking about the icons and saying that they have been updated. It almost sounded like maybe they would keep the old icons for the non-AI versions and
that is
use
true.
the jazzy new neon-looking ones that nobody likes for the super-powered AI ones.
Oh yeah, I wrote that in the notes before I figured that out, and I didn't update them. But yeah, the current free versions of the apps and single purchase versions of the Pro apps, they'll keep the icons that were new as of 3 months ago, but then they have new icons for the subscription versions that are a little divisive. They're not. They're so abstract that like they barely even represent what they're supposed to. Like Final Cut Pro, it's sort of this incredibly abstracted like clapperboard, except it kind of just looks like a transistor radio to me with like because it's just a rectangle with a line sticking out on top. That could be anything. Pixelmator Pro, I don't even know what that icon is trying to represent. It looks like the shortcuts icon.
Well, the worst thing about the new Final Cut Pro icon is that the chevrons, that are supposed to be on the top of the clapperboard, are now inside the box, where. So it looked like a really bad AI job, where the AI doesn't understand at all what it's referencing. So that it completely doesn't look at all like a clapperboard any longer.
Logic Pro is supposed to be like a record, but it's just a circle because they've, again, removed all of the detail from it.
A record?
Yeah.
A phonograph? Yeah. Well, although I didn't see anybody come out and defend them at all. Like, everybody is hating on these new icons. Everybody. Although
because look, they're perfectly cromulent icons if you're making like, oh, I just made a tiny little utility app and so I whipped something together in 5 minutes and this is like a $2 app. They kind of look like the icon that you would have for like one of their sample apps for like, hey, let's learn the basics of Xcode. Here's a quick basic app whipped up and that you can whip up yourself in 5 minutes in SwiftUI. And we included a little icon so that it looks pretty. Like that's kind of what these icons look like. They're just they're nothing. They need they're big apps. They should have big looking icons. Big
juicy icons, yeah. Well, do you like the old skeuomorphic ones? The original icons where they're very, very skeuomorphic?
Yeah, I feel like there's a balance to be made. Like either they're highly skeuomorphic, but they're also like just very of the taste of early 2000s with like really shiny gradients and shiny this and light reflections and all that. Honestly, I think the current icons are really excellent. Like I'm looking at the Logic Pro one and, it's a squircle and it's a little simplified, but it still has a little bit of realism to it. But I feel like they strike a good balance.
Well, I think the most important thing about the icon really is the color, isn't it? Isn't that what most people really recognize?
They are all definitely colorful. That's like all they are, really. Colors. Colors and abstract things.
Perhaps that is the most important thing in the end.
These things were definitely good for one thing, and that was comedy. Did you see, like, one of my favorite was like, it showed a series of icons. I can't remember which one it was for, unfortunately, but it's like
it was for pages.
It put them in reverse order, and it's like this. if you look at these, you see like somebody becoming a really excellent icon designer over time.
Right.
It's like the reverse of that human evolution, that classic human evolution thing, right?
Yeah.
Only now we started with a dude with a briefcase and then a dude with a spear, and now we're at a monkey. Monkey icons. Thank you.
Yeah. Very good. Very clever. Very funny one. Yeah, everyone's an icon designer. Well, as I put in the newsletter yesterday, that if you don't like Apple's icons, you can do your own. Like, it's pretty easy, isn't it, Griffin? As you did, and the how-to that we led yesterday's newsletter with, to customize or create your own icons.
That's true. Yeah,
pretty easy to do now. Let's move on. Let's talk about OpenAI's first device. Now, this is one of the worst rumor stories I've ever heard in my entire life, because I think it really didn't tell us anything at all. Anyway, let's talk about it.
Told us one thing.
Right. This broke earlier in the week. It's a Chinese leaker going by the name of Smart Pikachu, who actually has a really good reputation, I was reading, in the Android space, and is now sort of trying to break into the Apple rumor space with this. And they said that they had some details about what is supposed to be AI's first consumer device. Apparently, it is a, quote, special audio product to replace AirPods. While OpenAI and I.O., which is Johnny Ive's startup created to develop these devices, plan to release as many as 5 consumer-oriented devices by Q4 2028. Johnny Ive's team is giving the highest priority to this new device, codenamed Sweet Pea. And these are apparently their earbuds, which will have a seemingly unique feature never seen before, and they resemble the shape of an egg stone. Okay, great.
Had to Google that one.
Right. There were supposed to be 2 pills within the egg stone, and they will rest behind the wearer's ear. Okay, this is just complete nonsense. Anyway, OpenAI plans to use a 2 nanometer system on a chip. And here we get into some really crazy detail that has absolutely nothing to do with it. Most likely an Exynos chip supplied by Samsung to power the earbuds. A custom chip will also allow the device to, quote, replace iPhone actions by commanding Siri. Considering the rumored hardware and functionality, the earbuds' bill of materials could be surprisingly high, rivaling that of a smartphone rather than conventional earbuds. And then we get into some, Apple's longtime manufacturing partner, Foxconn, will reportedly handle assembly for OpenAI's earbuds. Having lost all AirPods production to Luxshare, Foxconn views this as an opportunity to re-enter the category. And then down the line, OpenAI is also considering launching a, quote, home-style device and pen. So, yeah, I read our version of it and everyone else's versions of it, and there's a picture to accompany it that looks like one of those patent pictures. It's more like a sketch with this pill resting behind someone's ear with no visible means of support.
Magnets, Leander. Magnets. Magnets.
Right, I guess. You think?
I mean, what else could it be? I suppose you could have like a hearing aid style strap or something, but which is what most things use, but unseen before.
Actually, that's a good point. Maybe it's like a conventional hearing aid where they use the little 2 wires that kind of invisibly go into your ears.
Where does the egg stone go?
Yeah. I presume. I thought the egg stone was like a charging case or some kind of charging dock that, and you take the 2 little pills out of the egg stone before you put them magically. They levitate behind your ears.
Be honest. Had you heard the word egg stone ever in your life?
Never.
No.
It must be some kind of awful Chinese mistranslation, I'm guessing.
No, it's a thing.
Or maybe one of those like new words that where how people say colorway instead of just color.
Right. Well, what is an egg stone then, Lewis? You Googled it. What is
Why,
it?
it's an oolite.
What?
OOLITE. A sedimentary rock made of tiny egg-like spheres, ooids, or more commonly, to polished egg-shaped carvings, blah, blah, blah. But, yeah, it's like, just a type of rock. I honestly, I saw that. I'm like, what? I saw that in our story, right? Because I'm giving this a quick edit. I'm like, what in the world? Is this some kind of bizarre mistranslation or what? But yeah, it's a real thing. So, Read Cult of Mac every day, and you'll learn at least one thing.
Well, does it give you any insight into what these things might be? I mean,
No, it just, I mean, the only thing it gives you insight into is that it just sounds like a, kind of a smooth, not a sphere, but more like, like a rock shaped like an egg. Just, which, it is right there in the name.
well, it's a curious rumor because it has all this, all the detail about the chip, the manufacturers.
Right.
So it's coming from the supply chain, right? And it sounds like Foxconn is fighting with Luxshare about who's going to get manufacture these devices, and they want to have it in high production. They're talking about making millions of these, but it's going to cost as much as a smartphone. So it's going to cost $1,000 or somewhere around there.
And they also say that it's going to replace phone actions by commanding Siri. So does that mean that that they're building a separate product that's dependent on Apple building Siri and then allowing support for this like third kind of device to just exist between you and your iPhone? And they expect to make millions of these based on that. Like, we've seen this time and time again. These accessory devices, the Pebble has like kind of middling and a small but passionate audience. But there's the Humane AI pen that tried to replace the phone, but not really, and they failed. Like, dozens and dozens of these devices that like try to supplement your iPhone because they're too scared to announce something that'll actually try and replace it, or just exist as voice assistants on top of your phone, and they just inevitably lose because whatever they can do, Apple can do more.
Well, we've just been talking about what Apple's going to be planning to do with the smarter Siri. Whether they can pull it off or not is a different matter. But this is isn't this what your AirPods are going to be doing in later this year?
And this is coming from OpenAI, so how does their AI layer on top of this? What is it? What is the point of it? Especially if they're saying this costs as much as an iPhone. All right, well, great. What are you going to do with $800 earbuds?
I just have to imagine the whole talking to Siri thing has to be a mistake in the reporting or a mistake in however this rumor was sourced, because why would OpenAI make a hardware device that talks to Siri and not ChatGPT? That just makes no sense whatsoever.
Yeah, right. Well, because of the EU and in Japan, the Digital Competition Act, maybe this gives them an opening because Apple is being compelled to open up, the functionality to third-party assistants.
Yeah, but is that enough to stake, OpenAI's first hardware product on that in only 2 markets, Europe and Japan? I don't think so.
No. Well, it has to have that lock-in thing again. Maybe they're counting on again people getting locked into a particular model because they've trained it on their own data, and they're counting on maybe if you prefer because a lot of people like Claude. We were saying earlier, people do really prefer Claude, and especially if Claude can remember all your conversations, all your details. Maybe that's a form of customer retention that they're counting on. Let's move on to this is the most exciting part of the show. This is the one I've been itching here, dying to take a look at this. I've seen it actually. We're not the first people to do this, but I'm really curious to see what our take is on it. Griffin managed to get hold of a folding iPhone 3D printed mock-up, which was sent to you right by a listener. Yeah,
that's right. I received this in the mail not long ago. For the audio listeners, I'll have a story. If you're listening to this on or after Friday, I'll probably have a story published on Cult of Mac with a link in the episode description. You probably will want to at least look at pictures of this because this is kind of interesting. But so this was printed and sent to me by Matt Van Ormer. This was, I think it was first Macworld that reported on this.
Wow.
That they from the information they had leaked the screen size of the folding iPhone in a few dimensions. And I think from that, people just started making 3D models, because iPhone design has been kind of consistent for the last few years. So you can those are really the only few numbers that you need to piece together what we think is a reasonable enough interpretation of what it could be like. Obviously the hinges is different because in order to be a 3D printed thing, it needs a different kind of hinge. So the whole left side is probably not terribly accurate. But we've got the thinness, the size and ratio of the displays, both outside and in. the folding works.
Wow, they did an amazing job with that. Good God.
Oh yeah.
That's the best one I've ever seen.
And it's cosmic orange.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that looks fantastic. Send it to me. I want it.
I've been playing with this, and so I just have, it lets me get some first impressions with what we think the physical object might be. So the inner display measures 6.5 inches wide by 4.5 inches tall, a 4:3 aspect ratio. The display on the front, 3 inches wide by 4.5 inches tall, so 3:2 aspect ratio. It is the shortest screen since the iPhone 4. Or like, sorry, shortest
You
phone.
have one around.
Yep. It's weird. Like, try and picture this. A phone that's as short as an iPhone 4, but still wider than the widest phone Apple even currently makes. It's really kind of weird to look at.
Shorter and stubbier.
It's stout.
Yeah, very stout. Because it's so stout, I was curious to see how that would affect how well it rocks on a table. And it's surprisingly stable, at least in the folded position. But then you unfold it, and it's like the worst you can possibly imagine. Because then when it's unfolded, it's much wider than any other phone has ever been. Mm-hmm. So the rocking is interesting. Holding it in the hand, because it's so wide, I can't really reach my thumb all the way across when it's folded up. I can get 80% of the way, so long as I'm like actually gripping it on both sides with like my fingers on one side, my palm on the other side. Like, I can't really reach across because, again, it's as wide as a plus-sized phone, and that's before this is even in a case. But the nice thing is, for the first time and as long as I can remember, like, I can actually touch the top of the screen. Mm-hmm. I just have to slide a little bit, and I can even touch the dynamic island on the top. Well, I can touch where I can imagine the back button or the status bar would be.
To be fair, even I've got an iPhone 17 Pro here in my hand now, and I can't reach the screen unless I shift it in my grip. Like if I'm holding it the way you were holding it with my fingers wrapped around the far edge, mm-hmm. you can't do that with your thumb. You have to kind of shift it around.
Like with my current phone, I just can't reach the top at all.
Yeah.
And that's just something I've had to live with. And it's kind of annoying. It's nice that I can imagine I'll get that back now. And then when I unfold it, I'm holding it like two-handed, one hand on each side. I've got like really incredible range over it. Like there's the sort of triangle in the top center that I can't reach, but my thumbs can reach the top of both sides of the screen, the whole bottom of both sides of the screen, and most of the middle, like almost all of the content area. So I'm looking forward to it. Obviously, I can hold it one-handed, but without having the real weight, I can't really judge how well that'll be able to work, but surprisingly ergonomic.
Yeah, and about the size of an iPad mini screen too, right? So not a bad size.
Yeah, I think this is like 7.7 inches, and the iPad mini is 7.9. So it's basically an iPad mini you can hold in your pocket. Yeah. And it's even thinner than an iPad mini, so it's got that going for it.
And when it's folded up, how bulky is it?
Yeah, that's what people are saying. Like, I don't want a phone that's twice as thick, but it's really not twice as thick. It's a little bit thicker than an iPhone 16 Pro, maybe like an extra 20% thicker, but it's really not that much thicker. Mm-hmm. If you have a case on your phone, then you've got a thicker phone than this when it's folded.
Wow.
Because it's based on the iPhone Air engineering, mm-hmm. so it's got that super thin design all the way around the edge. With like what'll probably be like the 3D printed metal USB-C port, just so they can make it as thin as humanly possible. Mm-hmm. This got me thinking for the first time, what are they going to do with the buttons? Because, as you know, every iPhone has the volume buttons and now the action button on the left side. But if you think about it, this phone doesn't really have a left side. It has a hinge on the left. It has two right sides. So you might think, oh, well, just put the volume buttons on one half and the power buttons on the other half. But that means that then when it's folded up, like, how are you going to tell which button you're pressing? Because then all of your buttons will be like right next to each other.
Right. Yeah, good point.
This model, I don't know how accurate it is, like whether this is based on information or something, but this 3D printed model has like what looks like a skinny like action button sized thing, and then one singular like pill shaped button below. So those are the only two buttons on it, and they're both on like the right edge. And if that's like based on actual information, I mean, that raises a lot of questions. Like, what are these buttons and what do they do? Maybe that's an action button, and maybe they've found a way to like combine the power and volume buttons into one. You know, maybe it's like a sort of like triple, maybe it's got like 3 micro switches under it so that you can like,
They did have that before, didn't they? What was it? An older iPod Touch or someone, because we did a story about this. I'm sure we did it about a couple of years ago. Like, let's bring back the old combined home and volume button.
on the wired headphones, they had like one single pill-shaped thing where like you had to click the top of it to do volume up, you clicked the bottom of it to do volume down, and then you clicked the middle to do like the middle action.
Right.
That's could be what they do here. This button doesn't really seem big enough for that. But the other theory that I had was maybe this is sort of like a camera control style thing where it's a button that clicks in for, you know, sleep, wake, and the voice assistant, but then you slide your finger up and down to control the volume up, volume down. That seems like the nightmarish kind of thing Apple might do, honestly.
Well, what about putting the home button on the top, like with some iPads?
Yeah, they could do that. They could split it up so that you have a button on the top. I mean, they haven't had a button on the top since the iPhone 5S, so that they could do that again. This model doesn't have a button on the top, but you know, it's again, I don't know how accurate the buttons are on this. It says it was based on some like CAD files, but I don't know, we'll see. It also got the question of what are they going to do with the speakers and microphones? Like the iPhone era, it was so limited on space that it only had a speaker on top, and that was its only speaker, and it just had like a microphone on the bottom. This model, it had, yeah, I mean, the folding iPhone, it has like, I think I did the math, over 75% more area than the iPhone Air. So certainly they have room for more stuff, and they have more edges as well. But on the bottom, at least, you have the USB port on one of the halves, and then a single set of holes on the other half. And presumably if it's on the bottom, it has to be a microphone, right? So that when you're holding up to your ear, the microphone's by your mouth. Maybe this is like a combined microphone and speaker in the same set of holes. But that's kind of interesting. And then on the top, you have like a full set of holes on one half, and then just like 2 holes on the other half. So presumably that's another microphone, because your phone has a bunch of microphones all over it just for, you know, the whole spatial audio thing and noise cancellation. So presumably that's another microphone, and then that's at least a speaker. But is that the one and only set of speakers? It would be kind of disappointing if you spend like $2,000 on a phone that's like the Ultra iPhone and it doesn't have stereo sound. So I don't know how accurate this model is, but I'm hoping that the folding iPhone has stereo speakers.
They would have to get that stereo effect when it's unfolded, they'd have to have a speaker on one on each side.
They're also on opposite halves. So maybe you've got like a speaker on the bottom left half and a speaker on the top right half. And so that way you get stereo sound no matter which way you're holding it, portrait, horizontal, you know, vertical, open, closed.
Yeah.
That would be kind of funky. But
Yeah.
that's another unknown right now.
Well, you've been playing around with it, right? You know, what's it like to put it in your pocket and just and hold it up to your face and
Putting it in your pocket, you know, because it's about as wide as a plus-sized phone. So it's, you know, if you can fit a plus-sized phone in your pocket, then you're already good. And in fact, it'll be a little better than that because it's not as tall. So, you know, it's not going to stick out of your pocket if you have a shallow pocket. The annoying thing is that, you know, the cameras protrude quite a bit, but that's not anything unique to this phone. The cameras protrude on all of the phones now. The one thing that's different about it is that it's got the sharp corner. The corner on the final actual production model won't be as like sharp as this one. It'll be rounded a little bit, but there's not that much Apple can do to like round it too much because it has to be, you know, part of the middle of the phone when it's unfolded. So, you know, the corner is something to watch out for. Like it does catch on my pocket when I'm trying to pull it out sometimes. It catches a little bit when I'm trying to put it in. You know, it's not the rounded corner that you're used to, so you do have to be a little more careful how you put it in and take it out of your pocket. But other than that, like once it's in there, it's, you know, an unusual shape, but it still fits in just fine.
yeah. Jeff Hawkins, I remember he was the inventor of the Palm Pilot. Remember that, the old Palm Pilot? And he carried around a model of the Palm Pilot for about a year, which he pretended to use. It was, it wasn't a working model. But he was writing he'd invented this handwriting technique called graffiti that was made it easier to input to do the handwriting recognition on the device. And I thought it was really funny that he carried it around for about a year or so just to sort of see what the use case was like and to refine it. And I guess, you should be doing that with this thing as well.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah, I've been picking it up like every few hours on my desk. It's hard to resist. It's just, it's a dummy thing, but it's still just so cool.
The outside screen, when you turn it over, I mean, that's kind of an odd looking device.
It is an odd view. Unfolded on the back, you've got like the back of a phone but stubby, and then like half of black glass on the other half. It's an odd look. I'll give you that.
With with the current folding devices, does that outside screen continue to function when it's unfolded, or do they disable it?
No, like once you open, like it moves to the inside, and then it sort of stops. And some of them have like special like camera modes where you can sit it up and use both screens at once, like to help you take a picture or something. But or some of them have a mode where you can unfold it, but like if you're trying to take a selfie, you can hold it like this, where you've got the nice cameras pointing at you, and you've got a preview on your screen on the other half to try and take a picture.
Yeah,
it enables a few neat things. Or you can prop it up like this, so you've got the back of it down on the surface, and then you can sort of hold it up and watch a video on the outer screen. But generally, like for using it, once you open it, like it turns off the outer display so that your fingers on the back of it aren't messing with anything.
It's quite delightful. I'm super excited about it. I can't wait to see this thing. That model is amazing.
I can't wait to see it, but I cannot imagine what would make me buy that.
The fact that it's a little iPad mini, although I'm not a huge fan of the iPad mini, I find it too small. I prefer a larger screen iPad for iPad-like things. But the idea of having a little tiny computer in your pocket that this affords more so than an iPhone.
I bet current iPad users who like love the iPad for the iPad will probably not be satisfied with this. But for the people like me, I don't want to have to buy both a phone and an iPad. It's kind of like I've got like a small iPad for free because I've built into the same device.
For free.
Well, not for free,
Right.
for a giant amount of money, but yeah.
Well, Matt did an amazing job there. Thank you so much, Matt. That is absolutely fantastic. What a great model.
I had one final thought about the cameras. My guess is they're probably going to be like a regular camera and the ultra wide camera, just because that's what Apple does whenever they have a phone with two cameras these days. But when I really saw them arranged this way, like it's kind of, imagine like the iPhone Air Plateau, and then the cameras are side by side, like along the top edge of the phone. That's not how Apple arranges their cameras on normal phones. They're always top and bottom instead of side by side like this. And that got me thinking a bit. Like usually this is such an obvious thing that nobody ever thinks about it, but on every other iPhone, the camera sensor is always like oriented the same way that the screen is. So when you're holding your iPhone in portrait and you take a picture, you've got a portrait picture, right? But this phone doesn't really have a fixed portrait or horizontal mode. It has a portrait screen and a horizontal screen. So I was thinking like, well, which way is the camera sensor going to go? I think this might actually be the first iPhone that has a horizontal camera sensor in it. Because if you think about it, like if you unfold it, then you've got a 4:3 horizontal screen, and that's the screen where you'll want like the big, excellent, camera preview, not letterboxed or anything. If you're taking a picture like unfolded, you'll probably want a horizontal camera sensor. And especially if you're trying to take spatial video, you need the two lenses to be side by side for that, so that they can do like the sort of human eye style, like stereoscopic vision. And that also needs them to be horizontal. So that also means that when you're taking a picture on the front screen, you'll have like a horizontal camera image on a vertical screen. And that'll, like, I guess I haven't researched how other foldable phones like approach this problem, but and we'll see how Apple, solves for those like weird little design problems.
Yeah.
So it's only made me more excited for this phone, really. It's still 8 months away.
Yeah, and there haven't been any supply chain leaks about it yet. No components, no ribbon cables.
Supposedly they've entered like design validation testing, so they've done a small production run of these and validated those. But I mean, as they start ramping up production in like the summer or so, well, I think that's when we'll see the flurry of stuff.
Yeah. Well, I'm quite excited about it, especially in the orange color. Are you still in love with the orange color, Lewis?
It's fine. I don't wake up every day going, wow, my phone's orange.
What about the stickers? Is there room for stickers? That's the most important question.
Oh yeah, plenty of room for stickers on this thing.
I'm gonna put a couple stickers on there for sure.
What kind of case is it going to have? I mean, the case is going to have some kind of...
That's what I was wondering. I bet it's going to have to be like a two-piece case almost, because otherwise it's going to have to bend a million times without fraying.
I saw somebody who had a foldable phone, one of the newer Samsung foldables over the holidays, and they had a really interesting case where it's sort of like a bumper case where it has like two separate pieces that go on each half, but then it has a spine going down the middle like a book, so that when you unfold it, each half of the case goes like sort of into the spine, and then the spine can like unfold into be like a little kickstand. So maybe that's the kind of thing they'll do.
If it does have a spine like a book, then it's going to be even more. Would that help with the stability with the cameras, or make it even more unstable? Probably
Plus,
worse.
it's going to be like a crumb catcher.
If it, I mean, I don't know if they could do that kind of case on this one because it has the camera plateau that goes all the way out to the middle, so they wouldn't be able to have like it perfectly centered. I don't know. It's interesting. We'll see what the third party people do.
All right, cool. Well, very interesting. Really good demo. You got a really good feel for it now. I think that's the time to wrap it up. Thanks so much for listening. Please give us a 5-star review, or even higher if you can, on Apple Podcasts, and share it with anyone who you think would like to listen to this show. Leave a comment on YouTube, or ask us your questions for the show. You can find Lewis on Twitter at Lewis Wallace, Griffin's on Mastodon at Griffin Jones, and I write the Cult of Mac Today newsletter every day, which you can get at newsletters.cultofmac.com. And that's probably the single best Apple newsletter you're going to read all day long. So thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. We'll see you all next time. Have a great weekend, everybody.
Goodbye.
All right, cool. 11:06. That was like exactly an hour. Yeah, that was a really good demo. Thanks, Griffin.
Oh, thanks.